pretty much picking up where it's left off. The First Ladies once again find themselves having to battle the administration as they try to control what the First Lady says and also how they are perceived, especially as an extension of the administration. Beginning with Michelle, as we saw in the past, her and Rahm Emanuel just butt heads whenever possible. Michelle wants to be more vocal part of the whole healthcare situation, but with it approaching the 2010 midterm elections, Rahm doesn't want her nowhere near that since Obamacare is already being used as a means of pushing back against the Obama administration, and he sees Michelle for all the experience she has in the medical field, including her coworker Susan. He just doesn't want to tap into that. So even when it comes to her trying to pass the Healthy Hunger Free Act, he's still not really trying to support that, even though Michelle, alongside Susan and also Mel, are making great headway. But, he knows best, and with everything that goes down, while Michelle is successful in the Healthy and Hunger Free Act, Rahm, with the midterm elections going so bad, seems to retreat to becoming the mayor of Chicago, and because how much working for Michelle has kind of taken over her life, Susan decides that she too will leave at the start of the new year and then go back to Chicago. When it comes to Eleanor, things are still very much complicated in regards to what role does she have within Franklin's administration. Louis recognizes that Eleanor is a profound orator. She has this very clear vision for what she wants and what she wants done. But the problem is that she still doesn't have a real role within the administration. As I believe either she said or maybe another one of the First Ladies, when it comes to being First Lady, that is not a codified position. It's not an official position as part of government. It's one that has been created and is mostly existing based off of precedent, as well as the duties being based on precedent. So when it comes to Eleanor trying to speak to people, the press secretary at the time decides, okay, we'll regulate you towards woman topics. So in his mind, that means you're talking about cooking, cleaning, child rearing, and stuff like that. And because Eleanor's a smart woman, she decides, okay, we're going to remix this so that between her, Hick, and all the different women who are journalists, they're going to start off with talking about things like a quick meal that you can make, a quick cheap meal, because of course it's the Great Depression. But then they're going to pivot to how, in terms of unionizing, in terms of working conditions, and instead of using terms that would be more geared toward that in general, they're going to use terms like what's the recipe for having a good union organization or stuff like that, to kind of beat the man at his own game. Lastly, the topic is Betty, and with her, the issue with her is that she's still sort of trying to find her place within Gerald's administration. With him announcing that Richard Nixon's going to be pardoned, she's kind of bewildered because he never talked to her about that. And the argument kind of is, why would he? He has all this stuff going on that to talk to her about it, to really have her as an advisor, I don't know if it's a case of it just seemed inappropriate to him or what, but long story short, it seems that becomes a bit of a craw in their relationship, at least until Betty and Nancy go see a doctor, with Betty just there for support as Nancy gets a mammogram. And then when Betty is talked into getting a mammogram herself, she finds out that she has a tumor. So with that, she decides to get a mastectomy, and it becomes something she uses in order to make it so that her family doesn't seem like they're complicit in the Nixon thing and that they're very much about truth and transparency. For a while, it's very clear that Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney probably talked Gerald into pardoning Nixon at the same time. Those two are people behind the scenes, and it's not the day and age as of now where you could easily know this person's part of the administration on a lesser role and yada, yada, yada. So for Betty, she wanted to make sure that her family there's a clear delineation between the Nixon administration and the Ford administration, and she did her part as she almost always tries to do. And through advocating for women to get mammograms and stuff like that, you see that she had a little bit of a cultural revolution at the time. And once again, we see that Gerald is probably one of the most supportive of the three husbands that we see. And we even see for a short period of time Susan, who is one of Betty's daughters, who Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that Dakota Fanning was playing her, I probably wouldn't mention her, but, you know, it's Dakota Fanning. So, once again, when it comes to review, I feel like Betty's storyline is a highlight, and that's because, on top of the highlight we gave last episode with her being an underdog, there's also the sense that she kind of exists outside of her husband's politics, or even the politics in general. But with her, I think sometimes because when it comes to Betty, her husband's term was less than 4 years, they focus so much on the personal that you get to see everything about her. She has the most younger version presenting, for lack of a better way to put it, and also you get the Betty Ford, who is the first lady. So with that, you get to see her struggle with the dancing and, try to figure out where her life was going to go, combined with her still kind of in that mindset now about how she can contribute outside the home and really, I wouldn't say she's trying to leave a mark on society, but at the very least, she's trying to exist beyond being an accessory to her husband. And with that, I think she's one of the few, I won't say the few, because there's only like 3 characters that really matter on the show. But I think between her, Michelle, and Eleanor, she is the only one that's really starting to break away from being somebody's wife and is really establishing herself as an individual in a strange way. So the second highlight is just extending the public speaking outside of the campaign. And as we saw with Michelle especially, when it comes to being First Lady, it is an almost mandatory position, yet as noted by, I believe, Eleanor, it's not a codified one. Because being single in any capacity and becoming president is very unlikely. Yet, at the same time, there's no respect given to the position of First Lady. And through Eleanor trying to speak to women who have become a major voting bloc, through Michelle, who has so much experience in the healthcare system, not getting to talk when it comes to not just convincing Republicans, but Democrats and voters about the importance of the Obamacare law, never mind seeing her do her own political work without Rahm's help, by the way, in terms of getting not just Democrats on board, but Republicans. You're shown a consistent issue of how much the men, even if they're good-natured men like Obama, pick people who very much are about the status quo. And it kind of shows you what the blind spots are when it comes to men like that. Yes, Franklin Roosevelt, who we don't really see in this episode. Actually, you don't see him at all. Him, as much as Eleanor is an essential part of his administration because she helps with the speech writing, she was the only one who believed him after he got polio. The people who are surrounding him, even Louis, who was friends with Eleanor, played down what she can do because she's a woman. Betty, because she comes off as a housewife, even though, as we know from this show, she has so much more to her than that. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney try to downplay her and even kind of subdue her because they see she has so much power in her voice, because with her pursuing truth and transparency, something that most people don't expect from government that much, she's setting precedents that they want killed off immediately, because now, never mind for first ladies, that could also be something that expected of the presidency, of the administration, and more people in government. And that doesn't do well with them, because the more they stay in the dark, the more they can get done. And then it just really pushes you to understand that as much as everyone wants a first lady who's personable, who's elegant, and stuff like that, what the American public seems to need and want versus what the administration needs and wants, or even expects from the first lady, is in conflict in a way. Yet, as these first ladies show, and I'm sure others did as well, they endured despite everyone who decided they wanted to be a detractor. Overall, I'm continually amazed by how Betty Ford's story is coming out. For with Michelle and Eleanor, it's very much the same each and every episode. It's just a little bit more detail. With Betty, I feel like it's truly like digging into who she is, digging into her relationship with her husband, with her kids, even digging into her relationship with herself and what she expects to come of her future. I mean, just that scene when she's dealing with the mastectomy scar and her kind of processing that after trying to be strong for everyone else and everything was a very powerful scene. One that I don't know if, when it comes to Eleanor and Michelle, if they really had that moment yet, but I mean, well, what? maybe halfway through the season, so there's still 5 episodes left for them to really have that impactful moment.